Hey there, I am Barb Higgins, and this is 1,000 Tiny Steps. In this podcast, I share my stories of love, loss, triumph, and tragedy as I continue to retrace my steps and ponder what led to the death of my daughter Molly. By doing so, I hope to not only help myself, but to bring purpose and possibility to those who listen. If you are ready to laugh, cry, shake your head in disbelief, then tie, buckle, face up, or slip on your shoes, and join me as we begin our 1,000 Tiny Steps. I record this episode, it's February 12th, roughly 6 weeks until the first annual and third example of, or version of, the MollyB fundraising extravaganza. Many of you know, in 2019, I held a Sweet 16 for Molly, and last year, a 21st birthday gala. As I begin episode 182, I will talk about the event that we are hosting this year, the MollyB Foundation, the dead Molly money, and all that goes through my head. I have an email newsletter. It goes to anyone that subscribes. It's on my website, 1,000 Tiny Steps. And after a wonderful Zoom meeting with all of my Boston University track teammates, I invited them, I signed them all up for the newsletter. And so they read it and get it, and I love the responses I get. These are women that have known me since we were just barely women. We were the NCAA's first ever recognized female class of athletes. In the fall of 1981, the NCAA finally agreed to fund women's athletics. It's been a long time. At the time, we didn't realize how important we were. We certainly do now. In response to a blog I just wrote about dead Molly money, one of my teammates talked about a settlement she had at a job that was around hush money, a whistleblower type thing, and how awful it makes her feel to be quiet, that she took money to not tell the story, and how hard that is. And then another teammate of mine talked about an ongoing lawsuit she has that will out the exploitation of some handicapped children. It's an interesting time that we live in. There's this whole idea of sharing everything, but people only want their version to be considered right. I saw a Facebook post today, and a woman shared her opinion, and this other woman said, well, your opinion's wrong. Okay, well, no one's opinion is wrong. You can disagree with someone's opinion, but that's the nature of reality right now. If you don't like what I say, you can just say I'm wrong. Well, no, I'm not wrong. I just, not your version of right. At any rate, MollyB, dead Molly money. Molly turns 16, Molly turns 21. Molly's never coming home. This is where I'm at right now. I'm not allowed to talk in any specific way about the lawsuit that my family filed on behalf of Molly shortly after she died. The parties involved on the other side of this issue have spoken to the press more than once, but if I even speak to a passerby and somebody connected to the case hears, I often get a call from my attorney telling me to be careful. Don't talk. Hush money, dead Molly money. One of the hardest things about settling a lawsuit, aside from how one is treated in the process of a lawsuit as the mother of said dead child, is what you do when you're done. We spent 2 years talking about Molly's last days alive, and months and weeks. So in our mind, she was alive. We were talking about alive Molly. And once the lawsuit was over and we had reached our agreements and checks had been cut and forms had been signed, even harder than being quiet about it was knowing what to do now. Molly's officially, in my mind, became gone in 2018, even though she'd been gone for 2 years. There's this teeny little part of a mom brain that pleads with the universe to have all this be a mistake or a bad dream and that Molly will come home one day. Gracie once shared with me that she just thought it was all fake and that one day Molly would walk up the driveway after getting off the bus like she always did, and Gracie and Molly would start the rest of their day. It was hard on Gracie when she really could acknowledge that that was never going to happen. It's still hard on her. So I wrote a blog post because people are not afraid to ask me or the MollyB Foundation for help. And I think that they feel like I have gazillions of dollars and I can just write these checks and give them away. So you do get a chunk of money when you settle a lawsuit. New Hampshire ranks 49th out of 50 in the amounts given in medical malpractice lawsuits. Doctors have it made here. Let me be clear, there are wonderful doctors who pay a lot of money in malpractice insurance. And what that does is covers for the doctors that aren't wonderful doctors. It took Kenny and Gracie and I a long time to figure out how to be okay with the reality that Molly really was never coming back, and that we had to now monitor what we said so we wouldn't violate the terms of our agreement. Another agreement I signed was when I lost my job. It was a separation agreement. I'm happy to break that one 1,000 times over. But I talked about how devastating that was, that I had to go around and be quiet, and that my silence allowed people to assume things about me that weren't true. And I think the silence around Molly's death does the same thing. It allows people to assume things that aren't true. Shortly after the lawsuit, when we really started to get the large sum of money, I gave $100,000 to RB Productions. I, Barbara Higgins, wrote a check from the dead Molly money to RB Productions. And I don't say that to give away confidential information. It was my check, I wrote it. And I did it because RB was Molly's first experience acting in a play. I mean, she'd done little plays in elementary school, but it was The Fiddler on the Roof, and it was, that week-long theater experience that is RB Productions. And it was life-changing for her, for Gracie. Theater became a huge part of who they were, and their friends were either in the theater community or gravitated with them to the theater community and the dance community. And I remember thinking I was so happy that this is where they were, because their friends were wonderful human beings. Not knowing that the real reason I should be so happy that they were theater kids is what would happen in the wake of Molly's death and all that the performing arts community did for my family. The MollyB Foundation is the official sponsor of RB Productions, the company sponsor. And I did that because I didn't ever want RB to go away. I wanted it to stay forever. And the timing, basically a year and 2 months before COVID struck, was perfect, because they would have gone away. They wouldn't have been able to manage financially through COVID. Their bills didn't go away, but their tuition stopped. There was no RB in the summer of 2020. These are tough times, right? These are hard things to deal with. Shortly after Molly died, those #HeartMollyB t-shirts were made, and those generated thousands of dollars in the beginning because so many people knew Molly, and so many people wanted us to know that they knew Molly. When I do merchandise sales now on the foundation website, sales are slow. Not a lot of people buy the stuff anymore. And it's not that it isn't really well made or beautiful, but the people that knew Molly have grown up. A lot of them are gone and into other things. And so Molly doesn't come to mind 8,000 times a day like she does for me. So I want to talk a little bit about the reality of the MollyB Foundation and this upcoming event. So since Molly died, I wrote a blog post about it. And I think I might just read the blog here, because it will share with you a lot of what I'm going to say, and I can go into more of it when I finish reading it. So it's called Dead Molly Money. Does this title offend you? Well, good. It's supposed to offend you, because the reality it represents is offensive. Molly shouldn't be dead. When we settled our situation surrounding Molly's death, we received a sum of money. While it was a significant amount, it is far less than most people assume. It also came with a price tag that renders it valueless. It is hush money. When I wrote Motherland, the entire middle section of the book was called A Strange Kind of Justice. All but 2 small chapters were removed. The information therein would violate the terms of my agreement. Hush money. When I get treated at the hospital involved in the situation, and I mention Molly's name, I often get a reprimand from the lawyers involved. In the months leading up to my book publication, the warnings were non-stop. Hush money. Once we had paid off some debts and settled into the reality that Molly was for sure never coming back, the money loomed heavy. What do we do now? The first thing we did was give a sizable sum of money to RB Productions. Molly's first play was the summer of 2014 RB production of Fiddler on the Roof. It was a life-changing week, not only for Molly, but for all of us. I wanted to make sure RB never went away. Dead Molly money. Since 2019, I have used this money to pay for over $50,000 worth of beautiful t-shirts for not only RB, but also the Children's Theater Project, Runlet Middle School's Performance Ensemble Group, and the CAST program at Concord High School. I have used it to award roughly $60,000 in tuition scholarships for local children to Concord Dance Academy, RB Summer Theater Camps, Children's Theater Project Camps, and New Hampshire Academy of Dance. MollyB has supported the Robotics Club at the high school, music programs for the Concord School District, community dance shows at our city auditorium, while also contributing $20,000 toward a sound system and purchasing instruments for local elementary schools. Finally, Molly has awarded $6,000 in Spirit of MollyB Awards at the elementary and middle school level, as well as $52,000 in scholarships for graduating seniors at Concord High School. Don't get me wrong, we have also raised some money through t-shirt sales and me donating the profits from Barb's track camp. We have also received donations and sponsorships from several local businesses and dance schools. Dead Molly money. So here's the thing about a finite amount of money. It will eventually run out. Here's the thing about dead Molly money. When you give it to others so it can bring the happiness Molly so fervently wanted to share, it becomes less ugly. And finally, here's the thing about a 501c3 nonprofit. They should last forever. When I meet my maker, Gracie should have a foundation to take over that by that time will have invested millions of dollars in helping all manner of children find happiness. MollyB Foundation money. It is time for MollyB to become the MollyB Foundation. The scholarships and gifts that once felt like they came from Molly are ready to become investments that come from what Molly's foundation represents and inspires, giving everyone who desires a chance to fulfill their purpose. With a board of directors comprised of amazing people who knew and loved Molly, and a couple that only knew of her, we are poised to take those next steps, to create events that not only provide community connections, but that also raise money. The MollyB Foundation Fundraising Extravaganza will be the first such event. The Capitol Center for the Arts will host this event where 3 well-known citizens, all longtime Concord contributors to programs and people that provide young people opportunities in the performing arts, will be recognized with the Spirit of MollyB Award. There will be local youth performers in music, dance, and theater. There will be delicious food, beverages for adults, pizza, and cupcakes for children. Nazi will provide entertainment on the dance floor. We will also begin an earnest campaign to secure corporate sponsorship, not only for this event, but for the foundation as well. While it is hard for me to feel like I am letting go of Molly, I am comforted by the reality that her legacy, shared through the MollyB Foundation, will actually keep her here forever. Clicking on the extravaganza link above will take you to the event page. And if you want a deeper dive into what the foundation does, click on that link. Molly accomplished a lot in her 13 years, 1 month, and 2 days on the planet. Her foundation has the chance to accomplish a whole lot more. So that was my blog post. So I want you to think back to the numbers I said. So I've given roughly $250,000, not including the $100,000 to RB, of dead Molly money to children in our community. There's also several other things that I've given money toward. We did a MollyB basket at the Christmas show, the holiday extravaganza, and the holiday spectacular. And I filled that basket with my own money. So I spent about $1,000 on the basket, $800 to $1,000 every Christmas. And I would donate all the money raised to scholarship programs at Concord Dance Academy or other nonprofits. I didn't keep any of it for the MollyB Foundation. That's giving away twice as much. I gave away $1,000 to raise $1,000 to give to someone else. I've also helped 2 children on the autism spectrum secure service animals. And we've given money to Concord Crew to help diffuse costs for children, students who want to row crew. Crew can be a very pricey sport. I don't just limit the financial support to the performing arts, although that's where Molly found her happiness. And that's where we have focused our efforts, because it's a group of people do good things. In my efforts to recover from my own trauma around losing Molly, I read The Body Keeps the Score, and one of the 5 best ways to deal with trauma is theater. So when I think of current political realities and the nature of, poverty and all of the things that children can go through, if there's a child that would benefit from theater and they can't afford it or get there or don't know about it, then the MollyB Foundation should be there to help them, to help bridge that gap. So this year's extravaganza, it'll be the same format as it's always been, just a big fun party at the Capitol Center for the Arts to come and show that you appreciate and loved Molly and love her foundation. I like to make it family friendly, meaning it's not so prohibitively expensive that a family of 4 couldn't do it. With every adult ticket, which is $50, 1 child can come for free. So for example, a family of 5, so a mom, a dad, and 3 kids, or 2 parents and 3 kids, would be $110 because each parent would get 1 child at no cost. That saves $20 right there. A single mother can come with her child and just pays for her ticket. The way that I do this is to procure sponsorship and advertise the hell out of it, right? This year, there will be not only a dance floor and Nazi as a DJ, And there will not only be an amazing raffle, we already have Red Sox tickets on the docket, but we are starting the Spirit of MollyB Award to be given at this banquet. So I haven't quite decided if it will just be one recipient or if perhaps there would be more than one each year. There are amazing people, lots and lots of them, that do great things. Perhaps I would have someone from each, a theater person and a dance person or something like this. I don't know. But in conversation with people connected to the Capital Center of New Hampshire as a venue, dance and theater as parents and instructors, and then those that were a piece of Molly's death and all that happened after she died with the memorial service and MollyB the Musical and all the things that the community did, we've come up with 3 recipients. I'm going to share them here. They all know they're getting it, so it's not a surprise for them. I think once people know who the recipients are, that they'll be inclined to come and support and pay homage to these amazing people. The first person that will be receiving one is no longer here in the physical realm. His name is John Graffair. John Graffair owned a company called A Company. It was a video. He recorded things. He recorded plays and concerts and dance recitals. He produced TV shows. He spent his life really advocating for the underdog and working hard to bring information to people. He was amazing. His office at the Capitol Center was a teeny little closet. You opened the door and there was his chair and there was his desk. It was just little. I have a shelf full of CDs that are dance recitals and plays that Gracie and Molly were in. He was a huge instrumental piece of the MollyB the Musical, Molly's memorial show. The whole slideshow at the end and the music and the pictures selected. He just dedicated a weekend of his life to create an end of the show slideshow for me that would be amazing. And it was. He made copies of that MollyB the Musical for me whenever I asked. He just made them. Never ever made me pay. And he was amazing that way. The very last show he ever did was Jack's recital at Concord Dance Academy, his first recital. He's a recipient. Kind, wonderful human being, an amazing family. I can't wait to see all of them. The next recipient is also a Capital Center for the Arts staff person. His name is Steve Martin. Steve has worn many hats at the Capital Center for the Arts, and he's the kind of person that does his work under the radar. He's humble and modest, but he's kind, and in the months and years after Molly's death, he was an unbelievable support for our family. He arranged all of the details at the Capital Center to allow a funeral for a 13-year-old girl to exist and succeed. It was standing room only. He was an amazing facilitator of what would be a life-changing event for everyone who went. Was instrumental in Molly's Sweet 16. He made it amazing. And then the third recipient is longtime dance school owner and community volunteer, Cindy Flanagan. Cindy is like me. You love her or you hate her. There's not a lot of middle ground with Cindy. And some of the most amazing people on the planet are just like that. Cindy has had an incredibly successful career as a dance instructor and dance school owner. Concord Dance Academy is in a beautiful building. Hundreds of children dance there and have over the years. She has a high level of expectation, but she's a softie when you least expect it. And she, in the wake of Molly's death, took time out of her busy month of May, get ready for dance recital season, to create a show for Molly that was spectacular. She and her husband, Carl, who really should be a part of the award, went above and beyond. So Molly's mission, do you think you have a purpose? If so, what? I think mine is to make people happy. Does that make you happy? Yes. Purpose fulfilled. Molly's mission was to help make people happy. And these 3 people, whether or not they woke up every day and thought, I'm going to make as many people happy as I can, have made hundreds of people happy over the years and created opportunities for hundreds of youth to not only participate in the arts and be connected to that community, but to become a part of it and to learn how to give back and to develop an appreciation for it. So the MollyB Foundation, I want this foundation to succeed. I want it to not just be dead Molly money, which will eventually run out. I can't just keep writing checks. So is this me begging for money? Absolutely not. This is me seeking guidance and love and support on creating a foundation that can sponsor events that bring people together, that raise money for an amazing cause. It's a quest to find businesses and corporations that are looking to sink their massive profits into the MollyB Foundation. March 27th, Thursday, 6 to 9 p.m., Capital Center for the Arts, will be the first annual MollyB Foundation fundraising extravaganza. It's a school night. It's not an ideal night for an event. CDA will have to not hold dance classes that night. Local people that are in plays and other things will have to skip their practices and rehearsals. It's not ideal, but it's the reality for this year. And I'm hoping that it becomes a big enough event that it commands prime time on a Saturday night. I think it will. Molly, dead Molly. I think about her as much now as I did the day after she died. I think about her all the time. It's not always easy. Actually, it's never easy. My grief morphs and changes and slithers and sprinkles and pours and ravages and rages all the time. But we get these little God winks and these little moments of love. I was just downstairs before I came up to record this episode, and Kenny was just at the dry cleaner and he was picking up his pea coat, his jacket, and the girl behind the counter goes, "You're Molly's dad." And when people say things like that to us, I get that a lot more as Molly's mom because I knew Molly's friends a lot more intimately than Kenny did. I was around them more. I did more carpooling and that sort of thing. Nothing makes me feel better than having somebody I don't recognize ask me if I'm Molly's mom. It reminds me that she was here. And it reminds me that other people knew she was here. So, lawsuit money, dead Molly money. I got to stop writing the checks. Gracie and Jack have to have a future. Kenny and I, if I live to be 100, I've got 38 years left. So I can't give all the money away. And I have to develop a better relationship with it. And I will say, using it to honor Molly has made it easier to stomach. But it's ugly money. And I'd give it all back if she could be here. But she can't. And I'm not going to give it back. That's my podcast episode for today. I'm struggling with missing Molly. I'm struggling with creating events that honor her memory and keeping people engaged. I'm struggling with managing a foundation in my busy life. And ultimately, just like a hard CrossFit workout or an uphill mile, I'm loving every minute of it. So always thank you for listening. I know this is a short episode. Go ahead and look at the MollyB Foundation website. Just take a look at it. Look at the pictures from her Sweet 16 and from her 21st gala. They're all on the foundation website. They're wonderful. And if you live local, come. Buy a ticket and come and have a fun night. There's a lot of sponsorship too. If you have trouble with tickets, if you're really struggling financially, there's different ways that people can get sponsored. So reach out because I would love to have a lot of people at Molly's fundraiser. So be good to yourself. Be good to yourself. Join into endeavors and activities that bring you a measure of peace or joy inside yourself. Be good to someone else. Donate to a foundation. Volunteer at an event. Post something on your socials that helps someone else. And as always, have a good day, everybody. Hey, thanks for listening and supporting the podcast. Feel free to leave a review and share my stories with your friends. Please reach out with your own stories, as I love connecting with my listeners. If you would like to get to know Molly, head over to mollybfoundation.org to see what she is all about. If you want to see what I'm up to next, you can find me on Instagram at Barb_444, on Facebook as Barb Higgins, and at my website, 1000tinysteps.com. And while you're there, sign up for my newsletter, a weekly way to find out what's up in the life of Barb Higgins.